we're not confused about what we're doing. We have to have results, whatever that may be. Cleaner floors, whatever. We have to get results because we're a results organization.
Produced by Podcast Architects.
Welcome back to another episode of The Path Forward here at TASA Midwinter 2024. I'm your host, Dr. Rick Fernandez. I've got somebody I've wanted to have on the show for quite some time. Very close to me. I live in South Fair. I've got the Superintendent of Hempstead ISD, Mr. Herbert O'Neil. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad that you had me on.
Well, so I don't think it's a secret, that Hempstead has had some struggles here and there, but I've wanted to have you on the show for quite some time, because y'all are definitely moving in the right direction. And I wanted to see, all right, what's going on there? What's changed? All of that. But before we get to that piece, tell me about your career path and why you do this work.
Oh, man. I've been doing this now, I think, 22 years and started actually in a neighboring district. I started in Waller ISD.
Okay.
I'm the son of two educators. My dad was a football coach. My mom was an English teacher. 35 years, and so it's all I've ever known. And went to Waller, and after I graduated from Prairie View, interesting thing, I lived in Hempstead.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I lived in Hempstead, worked in Waller, taught, coach, was an assistant principal there, and then left and got a principal job in Corsicana and Garland, and was an assistant superintendent in Greenville. And the Hempstead job opened up, and I remember calling a friend and like, "What do you think?" And he's like, "Go get it." And I felt like Hempstead was home.
Okay.
It was close to my hometown. And I felt like it would be a place that I could go back with some purpose and a place where I could be the superintendent.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you want to be in a place where you can connect with people, where you can build community, and you can help kids. And so I felt like I could do that in Hempstead. And I knew Hempstead has been a great place,
Sure.
but has had some issues.
Yeah.
And so it was exciting to know that I could go back and live in a place and work in a place that I'd already lived and been felt really welcomed before.
So, I mean, you got a great perspective then, coming back home, if you will. As you're transitioning and you talk to mom and dad, what was their reaction? Were they like, "Hey, yes, do that"?
Well, when I told my dad, he's like, "Man, that's awesome," And as I'm coming through and going to get the interviews, the role, and
yeah.
So and they were going well, and he was just fired up, and then for me again, and just knowing that I would be going back to Hempstead was exciting to me, and like I said, when you get a job, you don't know everything that
Sure.
you're walking into, but you're excited about the promise of what can happen. And what I always said when I first got to Hempstead was that we have some challenges, but
Sure.
we have an even greater promise. And so that set home with me, and I believe it set home with our community.
Well, there's no doubt, and that from an outside perspective, you know how it is. You kind of look around the state and you keep up and you read here and there, and so things are rocking and rolling. What are some of the first things that you said, all right, I know we need to start here?
Well, one of the things that I learned quickly was we had some academic challenges,
Yeah.
and learned that quickly and kind of knew a little bit, but as I got in it, I started finding out more and then found out even more.
Sure.
And so I felt like, we didn't have great direction as it talks about vision, mission, who we are,
Okay.
what are our goals, what are our priorities, and how are we going to do this work, and then what is going to be the end result.
I guess so. Everybody's a little unsure of what that end student outcome was going to look like.
We were kind of having school,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there wasn't, just a definitive plan to get the results
Sure.
that we needed.
No, and so as you start working through that, right? Obviously, you're familiar with the community, but it's probably a new team to you. How do you go about making, trust the most important thing and letting them see who you are and kind of vice versa?
Well, one of the things that was important to me, and just like most folks, is I wanted to come in and just meet everybody and let people know this is what I want to hear from you.
Sure.
And let them know that I don't know all of the answers, but I believe that you all want to be better.
Yeah.
And that's all I kept hearing from
Yeah.
everybody in the community. And, I talked to my board. I said, tell me who I need to meet with. And I also had prior knowledge because I had people that I already knew. But I'm meeting with everybody, and everybody's saying the same thing. We want to be great.
Yeah.
And we want to be on the map. We want to be great. We want our kids to be successful. And so I could hear that heart in the community.
Yeah.
And so it really drilled down to me. And through some great friends and talking, I felt like we needed to do a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
We needed to know where we were headed. We needed to bring our community together to kind of decide what those outcomes were going to look like and how we were going to get there. So it kind of came about that maybe we need to do a strategic plan, something they had never done before.
Sure.
And talked to my board, and I said, hey, this is what we need to do. And they're like, let's go, let's roll. And of course, if you've ever participated in that, it was grueling. It was long, but the greatest thing about that, now the great thing is our implementation plan. And I mean, and how it has transformed what we do in Hempstead ISD. I'll get to that. But when we started that process and that room was full of people and everybody saying, I know him, I know her, community people, but we've never been in the same room together. We never sat at the same table.
And it's not
together.
a huge community, right?
It's not. And but that room was full of folk who are in leadership positions or have some type of influence in the community.
Sure.
But I know him, but I've never sat and talked with him. And they worked with me for months to produce that strategic plan. That was what was so beautiful about it, is that as a school district, we could be this catalyst for bringing our community together for our children.
Now, you talked about implementation, and that's where the rubber meets the road, right? Because there's a bunch, and you know this, there's a bunch of strategic plans collecting dust.
I've worked in some places where,
you know how it goes. You
Yeah.
forget about it, you do it, check the box, but you're excited about the implementation. Talk a little bit about that.
Man, and I have to give it up to my assistant superintendent. She is a workhorse. She's a driver. But one of the things that in a former district in Louisiana that she had worked with, they had what they called a mission plan, but it was a strategic plan. And her superintendent did a beautiful job of implementing, and she was part of that. And so the whole time we were developing this, she was creating all of these things behind the scenes for implementation. And we're also part of the Texas Strategic Leadership Network, which is providing us some support with that. But everything we do is driven by that strategic plan.
As it should be.
Yeah, and every campus, every department, we've got, kind of one sound that we do, and everybody knows what the plays are.
Mm-hmm.
And so not that I think I'm doing anything, because it's a team, and really Brittany, she's the brains behind that. But it's beautiful. It's just like a sports thing when everybody knows the plays you're running, and what is there are the plays. And when you look at that, I can look at that dashboard and I can see what people are doing down to kind of the week. And I'm talking in communications, I'm talking about operations on campus. It's a beautiful thing. Now, that doesn't mean we're perfect, because we're not. No. But we're not confused about what we're doing.
Right.
And what the results, because we have to have results.
Right.
No matter what we're doing, if we're not getting results, whatever that may be, cleaner floors, whatever, we have to get results, because we're a results, we're a results organization. And
Absolutely.
so that part has been amazing. And honestly, I've never worked in an organization where when you get a job, because we talk about clarity, that based upon where you are, you know what your role is.
Yes.
Simple as that. And that's a beautiful thing, because I've gotten jobs where, I was like, I've been a principal trying to figure out, what are my outcomes? What do I need to do?
Yeah.
No, they know what they're supposed to do, what they're supposed to be working on, and what the outcomes should
I love it. I love it. Now, I want to switch gears, because I've seen you a little bit on social media with your students. Talk a little bit about your students. I love when you do that, because I'm a high school principal guy. You know how it is. Like, talk a little bit about your students.
Man, and that's one of the things that I love. And I talked earlier about that, a place where you can go be the superintendent.
Yeah.
And I think that if we're in a job that's about kids and we can't be there with the kids or around the kids, then that makes it challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there are days I sit at my desk, pondering something. I'm like, I'm going to go to the high school.
Yeah.
And because if I'm not there, they hold me accountable.
Oh,
Where
yes,
have
they
you
will.
been?
You know how it is. You know the kids are honest.
Right.
Where you been at? I thought you left. What happened?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you don't come see us anymore. And so I have something I do. It's called a Higher Heights broadcast. And we talk about going to higher heights in Hempstead. And that's kind of our little tagline. And so that's where I bring students on and I interview them. And it's quick. It's 2 minutes. And it's something that I saw them do, something that they did a great job on, something in the community. And I'll say, hey, John, I want to talk to you about, you want to come on the broadcast? Oh, I can't wait. And
They get excited?
Yeah, and I do. And I go to their class and pull them out. And the kids are all like, Mr. O'Neil, when you going to get me? And I'll joke with them. When you do something, you'll get on here.
Yeah.
And so that's always fun. And to spend that time with them. And you build that relationship just in that 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And so, but the community, you throw that up on Facebook, they get fired up. People get to see their children, people that they know. And in these small communities, everybody knows everybody. And so it's really fun to do that and get their perspective. And it's helped get our word out about the good things that are happening in our district.
What do your parents still get on to you about?
Well, well, one of the things my dad, he just passed in October. And one of the things that he always got on to me, he always talks about, making sure you use good judgment and making sure you think through things. And so that's always stood with me that, when I'm doing this job, taking time to think through things. He always would say, you don't have to make a quick decision. Because when I was a little kid, I would always say, hey, when you going to let me know about that? And he said, you ain't got to decide right now. And so I've lived that, especially in this job, as people consistently come to you every minute of the day.
And want to know now.
I got to know right now. And I tell them if it's not burning, we don't have to know right now.
Right.
We'll think through it. And so that stood with me.
I like that. Yeah. And if I'm being honest and self-reflective, that was always something I struggled with. Like I was always trying to solve it immediately. And being a former coach and you want to have the answer.
Right then. And then you almost don't feel, I've had people before, I'm sure would saying with you, what do you mean you don't know?
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't have the answer? You're the superintendent or you're the principal. How do you not know that? Well, I just don't know. There's a place that I can go to read about it, to find about it. And you know what? We can get back with you. It's gonna be okay.
A friend taught me let me go build some consensus first and get back to you.
It's powerful.
Yeah. And he was telling me hey man, you need to go get some feedback before you start running 100 miles an hour. In the moment, I thought he was just telling me, all right, just so that gets you out till you figure out what you need to do. But he no, I need to go get perspective and more than my perspective to move things forward. 3 years from now, Hempstead ISD will be what? Finish the sentence.
Hempstead will be a place that's pumping out students that are confident learners and leaders who are going to excel in society. That's our vision.
I love it.
That we're creating these confident leaders. Our community said, we feel when our kids graduate, they don't have a lot of confidence. And so we want them to be confident. And so that's what we're trying to build. We're trying to build our students up as we work to build the district up, build the community up, and being confident that a Hempstead High School graduate can go up against a Cy Woods graduate or whomever, that our kids are great kids who have good instruction and who learn to do the right things. And so that's what I really believe that because I tell people I'm from a town that has had ups and downs, and but we believed. We never thought anybody was better than us.
Right.
It's hard for me to explain, but I remember we go to games and we go to track meets and we get off the bus like, Hearn is here. We're from Hearn. Y'all are all beneath us. We didn't know that everybody didn't think differently, but that was how we were built up. Our parents, our school, our teachers, our principal, she made us believe that
the expectation was success.
Man, we were better than everybody. And that's what we did. And we went out and we gave our best every time because we were from Hearn and we were better than y'all. And not to say that I want our kids to feel like they're better than anybody.
But
they confident. They got some swag about themselves. That
like it.
If I go to Texas A&M, if I go to UT, I go to Prairie View, or if I go to welding school, I'm going to be the best welder in this program. Because you know what? I learned my basics of welding and got my certification in welding at Hempstead.
I love it, man. Well, I'm so thankful that you came on the show.
Man,
and
I'm glad you asked me.
I didn't know whether to, because sometimes I don't want people to feel like, man, what do you ask me to do this? But I knew something good was going on there, and
Well, I appreciate it.
I knew it, and I said, man, I need to figure out what's going on there. This dude's got to be doing some good stuff.
We're having fun, and I got to give a shout out, because I don't know if they'll watch it, to our community. I shout out them for believing in the vision, believing in the mission, and wanting to go to higher heights, and wanting to do great things.
No, I mean,
and our board, they put up with me, and they just keep saying yes. For kids.
And kudos to them. And the only thing I would say to Hempstead ISD, right, when you find your leader, when you find your rock star, your person, give them what they need.
Right on.
And I don't want to embarrass you, but pay them what they're worth. Don't let stars and great leaders walk away because of this or that, because you can't find them. And I'm talking to people all over the country, and it is very hard to find talented, passionate people that care about the community,
right?
And I think you're gonna have a
well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate our board who's stood strong behind me. So.
And man, they should be commended. So I'm very, very happy for you and happy for Hempstead. And man, y'all need to come up there and visit, watch a game.
Come on, man, come on.
You got it. Well, do you want to? Is there anything you want to shout out, socials or any of the website or anything?
Yeah, you can look at. You can go to our website, hempsteadisd.org. My website, herberto'neil.com. Check us out. Check me out on Twitter at Herbert O'Neil Jr. Any of our Hempstead socials, we're pumping stuff out. Our YouTube, our Higher Heights broadcast. Just trying to celebrate
with
what
kids.
We do in Hempstead.
Yes, check out the Higher Heights broadcast. That with the kids is outstanding, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And please like, subscribe, and share with your friends, and watch this young man. He's on the rise, baby. Hempstead's gonna do it. I like it.
Thank you,
man. Thank you so much. Seriously.
Produced by Podcast Architects.